So here we go. Episode 8 of Solo Camping 4-2 starts with Gen and Shizuku. And she has a new backpack, an Osprey, very good brand, and is looking for approval from Gen. And he's like, you're wearing this shit all wrong and you packed it wrong and you suck. He says that there are established practices while wearing a backpack, and unless you follow them, you won't be happy. And equipment can only be truly valuable if used correctly, which is 100% true. And yeah, the backpack I had when I went camping is too small, and I felt it all over my body after we were done. They do talk about it a little bit here later in the episode, but if you want a backpack, get sized correctly, go to your camping place, actually talk to the employees. They're all really nice, and they're going to help you out, and they're going to size you correctly, and don't buy a backpack just based off of the sale price like I did.
I was about to say Greg.
Well, I looked at the measurements of it, and I was at like the maximum measurement, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I got it. I'm like, oh no, this shit's too small.
You didn't size king for your event.
No, I got size kinged, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Okay.
He tells her she should have started off with asking the store employees for help, and they will gladly answer your questions. He says that how she is wearing the backpack, 70% of the weight is on her shoulders, and it should be on your hips, and he's going to help her adjust her backpack. I thought something was going to happen here, like he was going to grab her by the waist and, like adjust it, but no, he just tightens the waist belt.
Yeah, when they got to the shoulder straps part, I was like, you better not fucking do like the shoulder strap and then it's like the chest strap. And then he's like adjusting the chest strap and then the boobs come together. It's like boing, boing, like does this sound. And I was going to be like, you motherfuckers. And they didn't. I'm actually really glad they didn't because it would have been weird and inappropriate.
Gen made her adjust her chest strap on her own.
He's a really stand-up guy.
He is.
I appreciate that.
He tightens her waist belt and shoulder straps and tells her to do the other one and says that if it's not snug against the body, it will cause unnecessary fatigue and make you unsteady. Gen then moves on to how the backpack should be packed, and he demonstrates with his gear, and the narrator chimes in that the light stuff should be on the bottom and the heavy stuff should be on the top, which means the heavy stuff is closer to the body so you can control your center of gravity. And I wrote here, all really good tips for backpacking, and I knew some of these when I went, but some of this is new, and I wish I knew because my back and my shoulders were killing me. Gen says lateral balance is important too, and has Shizuku put her backpack on the ground, and it just flops over like soft wood, and the narrator chimes in again and says to not leave any space inside the pack so items don't shift. And Gen talks more about packing the bag, and he says it's like a puzzle, and it's fun to do. After Gen's lecture, Shizuku is like, yeah, I'm finally spending time with Gen again. And she's happy, but Gen is like, I got shit to do this afternoon, so don't bother me. And Shizuku is like, you got it, boss. Rule number 4, engage. Gen makes himself some strong-ass coffee, and Shizuku is at her site, reading a book, but gets sleepy, so she goes and rests in her tent. Nighttime rolls around, and Shizuku says the theme for today's cooking is Chinese. And Gen is like, that isn't really camp food. And she's like, I know. And that's why she wanted to try. She said the limiting factors are the oil and precise seasonings, and preparing outdoors would be challenging. So she prepared some stuff in advance.
I like how quintessential Chun-Li has become to culture. If you're like, I need a badass Chinese woman. Chun-Li. Sick. Easy peasy. And then you got the buns and you're good. That's it.
And it literally just says China on the screenshot.
Yeah.
So
What the fuck?
So her first dish is quick Chinese chicken ham drizzled with a fragrant sauce. And Gen takes a bite and washes it down with a cold one and is tickled and approves. Shizuku is like, oh, hope you're not done yet. And her second dish is special tricolor shumai, and she tried different flavors since she was preparing it at home. And Gen is like, there isn't any weird shit in here, is there? And she's like, nah.
I wonder what he means.
I don't know. Gen digs in, and he's devouring all of the different kinds. There's a regular one, a curry one, and the last one is spicy. And Gen is like, holy shit, this is spicy. And Shizuku is like, nah, it's not. And she eats it. And she's like, this isn't spicy at all. And then Gen's like, a girl that can handle her spices. I will say that I don't think the Japanese people like super spicy at all.
This is why I love Japanese food. I'm not a spicy fan. I could eat spicy food. But like thinking about my friend, we went to an Indian restaurant and they were like, do you want a 10 level for white people or do you want a 10 level spice for us? And like what the chefs makes it a 10 level. And he's like, I want a 10 that the chef makes, like for him. And that dude was sitting at the table in pain. And I was like, it's like a spectacle. Like, ooh, I can eat spicy food. It's like, you're not doing it because it's fucking delicious. You're doing it because it's fucking spicy. You're doing it for pain.
Back when Buffalo Wild Wings had their blazing sauce before they reformulated it, because I think it's just like ghost pepper now or something.
Yeah.
But back when they had the old recipe, they had the challenge or whatever. You get your blazing wings, and if you eat it, it's free or whatever. And I would always like do that because it's like, oh man, look at me, I could eat this. But then, of course, I ate it and I finished it, but I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. It didn't taste good. It was just like hot for the sake of being hot.
Right.
So yeah, I've kind of changed my heat expectations a bit. Anyway, her last dish she prepared was mabo tofu. And Gen is like, damn, another spicy dish. Oh no. And Shizuku unconventionally adds a whole block of tofu and then tops with chives. And she brought some wooden spoons since they are gentler on the mouth. And since the tofu isn't broken up, you gotta scoop it yourself. Gen digs in, and it's spicy, but he endures and washes it down with some beer. And they have a grand old time eating. Afterward, Gen is like, that was too spicy. But it was good, and thanks her and says Chinese food while camping is pretty good, and then says that she always puts a lot of thought into camp cooking and he normally eats simpler meals. He says that they agreed she would cook during camping, but then asks if all that effort is a hassle, and she says no, and cooking is fun for her, and she enjoys the planning part of how much to bring and how to cook with limited resources, and when people enjoy it, it makes everything worthwhile. And then she thinks to herself that she wants Gen to have good food to eat. She says Gen always brings the drinks anyway, and the point is to enjoy the challenge, and she wants to do it while camping, so she does, as she does her best Gen impression and says she taught him that. Gen is surprised, and he's like, well, okay, as long as you're having fun. And he looks forward to what she thinks up next. And then he thinks he never thought he'd be lectured by Shizuku. Shizuku says she's trying to be a chef, so she can't complain about cooking being hard, and that being a chef is her dream. And then she asks Gen if he has any dreams. Gen is taken aback and is like, she just asked the question Kana asked so long ago. And then Gen is like, damn, you two girls, fuck. I'm not telling you. Not now anyways. Maybe someday.
I get it. Gen is not very open with his hopes and dreams and wants and life. He's just very closed off. But you're literally sharing a moment with another human being out in the wilderness. Do we really need to keep it that close to the chest? It's very weird to me. But
I used to be like Gen. When people would ask me questions like that, I would always say something similar to what he said, or I'd try to change the subject or flip the question onto the other person or whatever. And I think it's just like Gen. He doesn't necessarily know what he wants. I think he has an idea, but he's not confident or proud enough of his dream to be able to tell somebody else. So instead of having a little bit of humility and vulnerability, he just says that instead. But it cuts to Akihito, who works at a surfboard shop. And someone walks in, and he's like, oh, hey, we're closed. Oh, wait, it's Kana. They sit down, and he's like, it's been 10 whole years. And she's like, yeah, I'm old now. And Akihito is like, nah, you still hot. So how was work? And she says it's fine, and she got invited back. And Akihito is like, oh, okay, so you back for work? And she's like, yeah. But she decided to visit old friends while she was here. But she said she's glad Akihito works at the same place and that she lost everyone's contact info. And she's like, you and Gen still friends? And Akihito freaks out in his head and he's like, yeah, you know what? We go drinking sometimes. She says she's glad to hear it and said that Gen didn't have many friends, so she worries about Gen sometimes. And she says she was just curious. And then she's like, is he seeing anyone right now? And Akihito was like, shit. Yeah, I guess he is. He says that Gen seems pretty interested in her too. And Akihito thinks that he's on Shizuku's side. I got you, girl. And Kana is like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad to hear it. And that she isn't trying to get back with him. She said, you should know we had a weird breakup. But she was worried it might have made him all fucking weird and crotchety. But she's glad to hear that it didn't.
Hey, real quick. There was something that you said in one of the episodes of the Anime Book Club podcast. You said that you think that Akihito is like Yoshiki and Hikaru.
Yes.
And I didn't think you were saying that you think he's gay. I didn't pick up on that until I listened to it in the car. And I don't think he's gay. I think he's just very nonchalant.
No, I don't think this is triangle love anymore. This is fucking square love.
Where's the square?
Shizuku, Kana, Akihito, Gen. Square.
Do you think that Akihito likes Kana?
No, he likes Gen.
Oh. Do you think Akihito's gay? And you said, I think it's square love. Like you're trying to be like PC about it. It's okay. Gay people exist, Greg. You could say it.
I think Akihito is gay for Gen.
Okay. I don't think so. I think he's as American fucking 80s and 90s babies would say. I think he's just metro, dude. I think he's just got style. Dude, the other day, while I'm DJing, I had a person of the female gender walk up to me and was like, oh, blah, 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 joke around a little bit. And then she was like, are you gay? And I was like, what? No? Why'd you ask that? And she's like, well, you're dressed well and you're DJing at a club and you're not talking to any women. And I was like, because I'm working. Thank you. But she's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. See, Greg, that's what you're doing right now. You're walking all up in Akihito's face and you're like, you gay, bro? And he's like,
I don't remember what episode 3 or something like that, when Akihito first came on the scene and he was talking to Shizuku by the bathrooms and the sinks and stuff. He was blushing when he was talking about Gen to her. That's why I thought he liked Gen.
okay. Yeah. All right. I get you now. All right.
I could be wrong. Maybe he was hungover. Who knows?
Maybe he was hungover.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
She leaves and says she'll be here for a while and they should go drinking sometime. And Akihito is like, okay, bet. And then thinks if he should tell Gen about this or not. Kana walks by herself and thinks, so Gen is seeing someone. And there's a hint of mischief in her voice, is how I read it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Cuts back to Gen in the morning, and he's walking back from the bathroom, and he's like, man, last night's dinner was good, but my butt burns.
What a weird thing for him to say. He's like, my buns is burning. It's a weird thought process. I not gonna hate on him. I've also felt that as well.
Yeah, we've all been there.
He's right. He's right.
Yeah. He gets back, and Shizuku is cooking up some breakfast, and she made loaded Chinese congee with shellfish, chicken, and zakai. Sorry for all the Chinese listeners. I probably messed all that pronunciation up.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked.
She said they ate a lot of spicy stuff yesterday, so she made something easier on the stomach, and Gen looks relieved. They eat, and Gen is like, you've grown. And she's like, oh, you think so? But then she's like, nah, I'm dumb still. You have a lot to teach me. You aren't going to get rid of me. And Gen is like, damn, I didn't even fucking say anything. Gen says he's thinking of traveling farther for his next trip. And since it's getting warmer, he thought he might go to Nagano. And he's considering multiple days. And Shizuku is like, oh, that sounds nice. I'd like to try that someday. Gen is like, why wait someday? Why don't you come with me? And Shizuku is like, oh, fuck, I'm down. And Gen is like, oh, damn, okay. Well, next trip is to Nagano, but I have homework for you. He says she needs to research what she needs to be prepared for a multi-day trip. And she's like, you got it, boss. Gen tells her to review what he taught her about packing, and then he leaves. And Shizuku thinks this will be her first multi-day trip, and Gen invited her. Cuts to Akihito and Gen at the soba joint, and Akihito can't decide if he wants to tell Gen about Kana or not. Gen is like, why is your face so fucking stupid? And Akihito is like, man, shut the fuck up. I got a lot on my mind. And then thinks that Shizuku isn't aggressive enough and pretty dense and can't tell if her and Gen are a good match. Akihito asks Gen how things with Shizuku are, and he's like, yeah, they good. And Akihito is surprised. And Gen says she's grown as a camper, and he's like, man, this fuck only thinks about camping.
Akihito here is like, I love his glasses, and this is why I think he's just a stylish dude. And he's great. Akihito's great.
Could he be gay, though?
He could be. Greg, he could be. And it's very possible. I didn't read that far into this show for that.
It's an allegory.
Yeah. The summer Hikaru died. We're going in, but this show is very lighthearted and very much like whatever's going on.
Gen then says he decided to take her on a multi-day trip. And he's like, wait, what? You asked her? And Gen's like, yeah, what about it? And Akihito thinks they're just moving at their own pace. Cuts to Shizuku, and she's thinking about what to bring for a multi-day trip, and then freaks out that Gen invited her and she doesn't even know where they're going. But she steals herself. Cuts to Shizuku and Saya and Mizuki at Moonlight Coffee. And they're like, man, you move quick, Shizuku. Is this what it looks like when a 20-year-old and a 34-year-old date? But then they ask if she's ready. Shizuku says kind of, and her loadout doesn't change much, but she needs more clothes, and the biggest bottleneck is cooking supplies. And she goes off about cooking like Gen does about camping, and the girls just laugh and say it looks like she's having fun. And then they say they should camp sometime since Shizuku always has so much fun. And that's the episode.
It was a good episode. I quite enjoyed learning about backpack stuff because I carry a backpack around because that's what you do when you carry a computer everywhere. And my back hurts all the time because I'm old, as previously stated. And also I pack my bag wrong. So it was good to know.
Yeah, you have to put the turntables at the bottom of the backpack and the records at the top.
No, the other way around. If it was going to be a camping trip, you put the light stuff on the bottom, heavy stuff on the bottom.
Yeah. Put all of the records at the bottom, then put all the heavy stuff on the records.
And just smash the records long ways so that they break inside your bag. Stab you in the spine. The solo camping is just a wonderful appetizer, as always.
I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. And it is a 24-episode series, so we are only going to episode 12 for this season, the mid-season finale. I think it's a great show. And I still don't know how I feel about the Gen-Shizuku relationship, if I want it to work out or not. Like, part of me is kind of like, oh, maybe Gen and Kana should work things out and get back together. But I don't know. The 14-year difference is pretty big.
It is.
And I'm like, well, depending on their birthdays and stuff too, it could transition over to where he's like 35 and she's still 20.
And it's super weird.
And especially being 20, like I remember when I was 20, I thought I knew shit, but I didn't know fucking anything. And now that I'm older, I still don't know anything, and I'm old.
But you at least recognize it as you continue to get older. You're like, wow, I don't know fucking anything. I 100% agree with you. When I was 29, I was dating a 20-year-old. And she had turned 21 like in the first month of our relationship. We moved in together and I definitely felt the age gap. We were in two very different places in the world. And I'm not a person that's very controlling. I'm not a jealous person. I was like, you go do your thing. If you want to go out till 6 a.m, do your thing. Like, get it out of your system. Do whatever you want. I'll be here playing video games and doing whatever I want. And just recently, a girl that works at one of the bars that I occasionally work at showed some interest, and she's 23, and I'm like, I get that you're into older dudes. I'm not into your age group. I'm just not. You've got your own thing. You're going out drinking all the time till 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you want me to pick you up? You're not my fucking child. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I feel like the age is associated with the experiences of life. And when you're that young, there's so much to experience, like stuff that we have already experienced. If I already experienced it, you have never experienced it. I feel like you're losing some worldly insight by experiencing that stuff with someone that's already experienced it. Does that make sense?
I agree. It's like you're already prepared for the quiz and you want this person to experience this, but you still are the protection of the situation so they don't learn the actual lesson that you learned.
Yes.
So I wholeheartedly agree. I think that people need to be able to grow. And that's my philosophy when I was dating my ex. You need to experience going out and like doing the things that you want to do and feel that unchained feeling so that you can feel like I'm your home, so to speak. Like you feel the protection and the safety with me, and that's what you enjoy rather than the fact that I'm older and I know what I'm doing to a certain extent. That's always my age difference reasoning for why, like, it's just very awkward. You need to learn by experience in most of these situations because I don't want to be your parent telling you something and then you go do that thing and then it's like you're coming home like a child, like you've done something wrong or something like that when in that learning experience. That's always something I want to avoid.
And I mean, even in relationships, I feel like you learn how to navigate interacting with other people. And I feel like if you're dating someone that's around your age, you're like learning together. But it's almost like this student dating the teacher. Like the teacher has the answer sheet literally like in the desk.
Yeah,
like the teacher already
100%.
knows all of the answers. So for you as the younger part of the relationship to try and learn all of that stuff when you're dating the teacher, it's like really hard because now it's not an equal footing in terms of experience. And I think you lose a lot if you go down that route.
Yeah. But I also think that there are some experiences that you can still go through as a team and learn from each other and still have that teacher. Like video gaming is a prime example. The harmless idea of video gaming. Teaching somebody how to do efficient uppercuts is going to be an easy thing to impart that knowledge and be like, okay, this is how you do it. Or efficient 360s in your case. Sorry, Greg, my bad. I didn't mean to leave you and Zangief out of this.
No. You protect the skies, anti-air. Everyone needs to learn.
Everybody needs to learn. It's like the difference is a learned experience through pressure and clutch factor in a fighting game of efficient uppercuts. Learning beforehand how to do one is going to be a lot more helpful, and you'll be like, oh, wow, I applied that instantly. That's great. Whereas going out and finding yourself and finding who you are and what you want from life cannot be told to you. That's the difference.
Yeah, so I just don't know how I feel about the relationship. And I'm
the more
curious...
I see them together, I think they're a cute couple. But I do think that there is that idea of the teacher-student mentality flirtation that is happening. And if they end up seeing each other, I don't think it works out, but it might just because they like the same stuff.